Ride the Lightning, Metallica's second album. After the success of Kill 'Em All, well, Metallica's popularity expanded quite a good bit, and the whole idea of thrash metal or, speed metal really exploded as well. Now, we talked in the last video, and we said that really it wasn't all because of Metallica. Metallica doesn't get all of the credit in the widespread, embracing of this genre or subgenre of music. But rather, this was definitely an album in Kill 'Em All that served as a great genesis point, a great inception point for everything. Now with Ride the Lightning, that was only about to be enhanced about, 10,000 times more. There's a lot of elements to Ride the Lightning had that Kill 'Em All certainly didn't. For one, things seem to be a little bit better polished on this album, including James's vocals. Even though it still has that rough and gruff variety that was absolutely, the biggest difference that you're going to notice from these first couple of albums from, say, the Black Album or something like that. This is still something that, compared to Kill 'Em All, there is some refinement. The songwriting is also something that gets a major, major piece of refinement. There's a little bit of everything on this album, which is what kind of makes it a really curious case. And it's definitely one that some people can either love or hate, but in most cases, people argue this album versus Master of Puppets for Metallica supremacy. For me, it's definitely an album that I would probably have to put in a tie spot with Master of Puppets, although at some points I really think I like Ride the Lightning more. And there are many reasons for this. For one, the Call of Cthulhu, the first huge instrumental that we have, and the second straight album that has had an instrumental. Of course, don't forget about Anesthesia pulling teeth off of Kill 'Em All. But this is a song that really defines what an instrumental really could sound like from a thrash metal band. It almost follows the conventional rules of either a symphony or a modern piece of classical music, principally because it was able to set the mood, it was able to build upon that same mood, and it was able to just keep on adding layer upon layer upon layer before hitting a sizable crescendo, holding on to that, really staying on that high point for a while to really keep the listener engaged before fading down and bringing it back sort of to musical reality, if you want to say that. This is going to the heights of the musical dream world and then descending backward. Throughout this journey, you are taking the journey. You are hearing the call. You are witnessing everything that is in front of you. Psychedelic drugs, recommended. But there are also great songs on here that are essential for any Metallica fan's collection. I mean, let's consider some of the songs that are on this album. For Whom the Bell Tolls is one such example. What about the title track, Ride the Lightning, which is all about a gentleman who's about to endure the electric chair, who's basically coming to his death. Definitely an interesting take, but definitely a beastie song. Let's consider Onward. Let's go to the very first opening track, Fight Fire with Fire. This is something that right at the end of it, it seems like it's just repetitious. Fight fire with fire, fight fire with fire, fight fire with fire, fight fire with fire, fights! But it's fantastic. Notice the slight elevation of the tone. That's something that just kind of builds the madness swirling around your head until finally, at that very last fight, it's like it's about ready to explode. And of course, the rest of the song is no slouch either. Now, as you get further onto this album, with songs such as Trapped Under Ice and Escape, it seems kind of weird. Yeah, especially with Escape. Escape is one of those songs that I think is really morbidly underrated by this band. Now sure, this is a song that for some may seem like it almost portions Metallica a little bit closer to the glam metal or, the arena metal that was kind of taking part at that same period of time. This is actually a song that really seems to predate a lot of that popular stuff that happened in the latter part of the 1980s. This is still a really, really good song, and it has one of those addictive choruses, and once again, this is a song that's very well constructed. Trapped Under Ice is just a fucking whirlwind explosion. If you thought the Hangar 18 was bad, try playing Trapped Under Ice on Guitar Hero, for example, for all of you Guitar Hero nerds. But for those of you who are just trying to play it on regular guitar, I'm sure I can imagine your frustration. It's definitely one that has a lot to offer. Really, there's just a lot of aspects about this album that just really showcase why its potential superiority to Master of Puppets is not that difficult to imagine. It's a varied, varied piece. There's a couple songs that we haven't talked about yet. And really, this is probably one of the first albums in a long time that I've talked about just about every single goddamn song on the album. But this is kind of one that really requires it. What about Fade to Black? How many times have you listened to Fade to Black? Just the chorus and, just the lyrics by itself, should I say, is just absolutely instrumental to this song's power. And plus, after the first couple of tracks, imagine the difference. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Going from fury to fury to fury to a song that's almost reminiscent of a metal ballad. It's pretty ridiculous whenever you think about it. But this is a legendary song. This is a song that you still hear on the radio quite a bit. And damn, it's almost impossible to live without. There's just one more song to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, and you guys know exactly what it is. Creeping Death. Creeping Death is a massive track, and it takes elements right out of the Bible. And now, of course, this has a lot to do with James Hetfield's past, which is something that directly was able to influence him as a writer. But goddamn, this is a massive song. This is tremendous. The guitar work on this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to get this album as one of my very first Metallica purchases, probably album number 2 or 3. But damn, it was definitely one of the cornerstone songs that I bumped for a long period of time once I finally got disc in hand. The guitar solos on this, Kurt really shows just how virtuosic he can be. Cliff's thumping bass throughout this album is just glorious. And of course, Lars on the Skins, still showcasing why, even though he's gotten a bad rap in years past, he's still a legend. Overall, this album really doesn't have any flaws. The rough and rugged nature is just rough and rugged enough for a lot of old school thrash bangers to require this to be in their collection, and still bust it out every so often. Hell, I have 2 copies of it on CD, and I even have one on cassette. I wish that I could show those all to you, but, well, the CD is in a CD player that's back in storage, and my tape is actually in my car, because I still have a tape deck in my car. This is an album that's that essential. This is an album that's that good. And this is an album that was poised to just grow Metallica's fan base and grow their already immense popularity even further. They were also going to start pushing other limits. The birth of Alcoholica had already happened, however it was starting to intensify. And by the time we cease talking about the 3rd album in Metallica's discography, we will unfortunately have to cease talking about one of the members. You know exactly what I'm talking about, but you're going to have to wait to see what I have to say about album number 3. But for Ride the Lightning, there's just 2 words that I have to say. Listen now.